Long before Facebook or Instagram, in the earliest years of the web, the curious gathered in fragile digital spaces. Message boards, small personal sites, scattered forums that offered anonymity, connection, and possibility at a time when queer lives were rarely visible, let alone understood. Much of that world has vanished. Servers disappeared. Hard drives failed. A generation's history slipped quietly into obscurity. Signal Found Productions was created to recover those fragments, to preserve, contextualize, and honor the digital traces that shaped an era. We recognize that early online life was not merely a technological moment, but a cultural epoch, a time when marginalized people carved out space for themselves long before recognition was promised, and long before language caught up to the realities they were living. Within that history, few figures illuminate the era's complexity as vividly as Raquel Reyes. Raquel emerged in the early 2000s as one of the web's most striking and polarizing trans women. Her images circulated with an intensity that predated the term going viral. At the height of her fame, she was described as the most downloaded transsexual model in the world, a status that brought both fascination and projection in equal measure. In 2005, she published her memoir, Goddess, a raw, hypnotic document that blended survival, sexuality, identity, and reinvention. Initially circulated in small online circles, Goddess has since become a cult classic, resurfacing 2 decades later in university courses exploring digital culture, trans studies, and early internet history. And then, just as her influence reached its peak, Raquel vanished from digital life in 2006, leaving only fragments behind, images, rumors, and echoes. Created in collaboration with the Trans Wiki Project, this audio series examines the life and legacy of a woman who occupied the volatile space between analog memory and digital mythology. Rather than relying on personal narration, the Goddess recordings draw from historical materials, cultural analysis, and archival research to illuminate a figure whose influence continues to echo across the early internet's landscape. They bring clarity and structure where silence had lingered. For scholars, the Goddess recordings provide a curated framework for understanding how one individual's digital presence helped shape an entire subculture. For the queer and trans community, they offer continuity, evidence that today's conversations about identity, authorship, and representation have roots embedded in the earliest corners of the web. And for the archive, they affirm something essential, that no story is too fragile to examine and no life too complex to contextualize with care. I'm your host, Ariana Scott. This is Signal Found Productions, and you're listening to the Goddess Recordings, a documentary analysis of the myth-making digital presence and cultural legacy of Raquel Reyes, one of the early internet's most influential figures.